Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. On today's show, we're going to do something a little bit different, and I'm going to kind of explain to you guys some of the different things that you can do with a Famicom adapter. Now, when I say Famicom adapter, I don't mean the overpriced, expensive, custom-made ones you can get on eBay that can cost anywhere from $20 to $100 or more. I'm talking about the ones that come inside the cartridges. By inside the cartridge, I mean the official Nintendo-released Famicom adapters that were included in some of the earlier games in the NES's lifespan. One good example would definitely be Gyromite, and there's a whole list of other ones that may possibly have Famicom adapters in them. Now, I'm really not going to go into why these are out here or which games have them and this and that or whatever. If you guys are looking for that information, there's all kinds of resources available to you on YouTube and on the internet for that. What I'm going to be doing here today is showing you guys some different things that you can do with it and how to properly utilize it for playing Famicom games on either the Model 2 NES, the top loader, and even the Model 1, also known as the toaster. Now, when you have one of these adapters, this is essentially going to be what it looks like. The top part of it is actually the Famicom circuit board for the Famicom game, and the bottom portion is the connector that enables it to play in a US 72-pin NES system. After you've got your adapter out and ready to go, one of the first things you're going to want to do if you're trying to use this with Famicom cartridges is to shave down the corners right here and right here, because otherwise the fit is just too tight on a lot of Famicom cartridges and you just won't be able to get it on here. What I did was just use a knife, like even just a steak knife or a file, and you can just file this down just a little bit so that the cartridge will slide right onto the converter. Now, one very important thing to keep in mind is that when you put your Famicom cartridge on the converter for play in your US system, you want the front label facing away from you. And the way that you can tell the orientation of the converter itself is by looking down here at the bottom where it says 1985 Nintendo, and they've got that little thing there. That would technically be the front of the converter. On the back side, there's none of that. There's no text or anything like that. That's the side that the front label of the Famicom cartridge should be facing. Oh, and you may have also noticed that while I've been sitting here holding this, that this particular adapter also has a string tied to it, and I will explain that in just a moment. So first off, using the converter with a Famicom game in the top-loading NES is pretty simple. Pretty hard to mess this one up. All you do is you just put it in the converter, throw it in the top loader, make sure that the label is facing outward, and turn it on. And that's it. You've got the game. No issues there. When it comes to the Model 1 NES, it can be a little bit trickier, and I found that there's really not much information out there on how to use one of these simple converters with a Model 1 NES. So that is what I am here to show you guys how to do. And one of the prime reasons to use a Famicom converter and game on a Model 1 NES is, of course, because it can output with AV, which the top loaders do not do most of the time. Now, putting it in works almost exactly like it does on the top loader, except you just insert it front ways. Same thing here, the front label should be facing down, not up. So what we do is we go ahead and put the game in. We can push it down like so, and then turn it on. And just like the top loader, once you put it in and turn the system on, it should come right up on the TV. So as you can see, no problems here. Works just as well on the Model 1 NES. As you guys can see, it absolutely works on both models of the NES using just a standard converter that you would get from, say, a Gyromite cart or many of the others that may have them included. Now, the thing is, when using the Model 1 NES, it can be a bit tricky to get these out once you put them in. That is where the string comes into play. By threading a string or a ribbon or something like that through the little holes in the side of the converter, you afford yourself the luxury of being able to remove this thing a lot easier than trying to pry it out, because it is pretty far in there otherwise. So with the string, this is how it works. Then you can pop it up like this, take the string, pull it, and there it goes. You don't have to worry about trying to open the system in case it gets stuck in there or anything like that. So definitely worth doing if you have one of these Famicom converters. You can see how I've done it here. On these little sides, which were initially the screw holes to put the converter inside the cartridge casing, I just went ahead and looped a piece of ribbon through there and then tied it off at the end in a knot, so that way, if the game is inside the NES, I can just pull the string to dislodge it from the console. So there you go, guys. That is how you use a Famicom converter, one of the official Nintendo Famicom converters, on both the top-loading NES and, of course, the original Model 1. It's totally doable on both and is a really cheap alternative to buying a custom converter on eBay or even buying a Famicom itself. If you guys have any questions about how this works, you can definitely post them in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer as many of them as I possibly can. So as always, guys, I'd definitely like to thank you all for watching and subscribing, and until next time, stay classic.